been such a privilege to be the president of this chapter this year, and I feel truly blessed to have been given this opportunity to stand in front of you today and introduce our event tonight. If you don't know, Turning Point USA is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that represents constitutional values, promotes freedom for all, and facilitates discussion with the goal of informing and spreading truth to everyone, leaving the world with well-rounded, educated leaders. Like many of you, our world was flipped upside down 3 weeks ago when our founder, Charlie Kirk, was murdered during a college event on the college campus. In the wake of that, 3 Clemson employees made posts on social media celebrating this sick act of violence. With the help of all of you, the public, many public figures, and even President Trump himself, all of these employees were terminated from the university, which almost surely wouldn't have happened with that help. Yeah. Instead of silencing Charlie Kirk's voice, his assassin only made it louder. Not only at our chapter here in Clemson, but nationally as well. Our chapter has thousands of media, hundreds of members, and all can want to express our mission to the United States. What's happening in the world? I invite you to meetings. We meet every Wednesday at 10:30 in the business building hours. We have socials, host other fun events like speakers, attend conferences. We have blast, and we'd like you to be part of it. As all of you are well aware, having conservative values is often not welcomed on campus. Since 2020, the first Republican, as the first from South Carolina elected to Congress, Nancy has championed fiscal conservatism, tackled addressed issues affecting women, education. Her legislation has protected women as protected as our country seeks, but most recently, Nancy has worked with her colleagues, including preventing violence against women. For subcommittee on security, IT. She also serves as national security order and foreign affairs. And member of the House Armed Public Services Committee. Power and projection. She also serves on
Charlie, are these getting held on? I have no, Charlie.
Oh.
All right. It's fine, I'll just do this. All right, good evening, y'all.
Evening.
Good evening, Clemson. I wore my best Clemson orange so we can get a third big win in football, right? Yes, yes. Thank you. So we're to play today. A couple things. Number one, I'm going to take as many questions as I can. There are no questions that are off limits at all. In fact, I would encourage you to ask your toughest questions up front so we don't run out of time. The second thing that I want to do is I want to honor Charlie Kirk tonight. We have a lot of people in the room tonight. Some of us are going to agree, some of us are going to disagree. But the one thing that Charlie did is he offered a platform. He offered a forum to everyone, every color, every walk of life, every zip code, every political ideology. He lets you come up to the microphone and ask your question. And he was murdered for it. And it takes a lot of courage to come out. I know some people are sick or concerned about security and that kind of thing. But I've done 3 turning point events this year. I did one at the University of South Carolina. Anyone see the video where somebody tried to throw a fern? And anyone see the fern video? That was a turning point event. It was a transgender person, a man in a dress. I didn't like what I had to say, so they proceeded to try to pick up a potted plant and throw it at me. It was like it was just a fern. But the last event I spoke at this summer was at Brexit. For those who want to say that Charlie Kirk was racist, that is a lie. Brexit is a forum for Black conservatives leaving the Democrat Party. My staff told me I was the only white person to speak at Brexit this year. And it was an immense honor. That event was hosted, funded, and sponsored by Charlie Kirk and Turning Point. He did that. And it was a huge immense honor. In fact, the last time I texted him, I wasn't particularly close with other members of Congress, but the last time I texted him, I asked him if my kid, who was with me at Brexit, because there's a big Turning Point event going on in Tampa in July at the same time, my kid wanted to meet him because my child had been inspired by Turning Point, by Charlie Kirk, and just wanted to shake his hand. My kid never got the chance to do that because Charlie was taken from us in cold blood, 31 years old, a father, perfect father, husband, and follower of Christ. And if I can just take a moment to pray over Charlie Kirk this evening, we can bow our heads. Lord, we are here together tonight. Those of us, some of us agree, some of us don't, but we're here to honor the First Amendment. We're here to honor free speech. We're here to honor Charlie Kirk and the movement and moment in the wake of his murder, that he has inspired a generation in your name, many of us flocking to church for the first time, some praying for the first time. I know that I heard from one of my children for the first time this week talking about praying and prayer and finding a life through Christ that I had never heard before in my child, that we are revived in this moment, coming together in this forum, in every forum across the country where we've had over 120,000 students who said they want to follow in his path. And in the book of Jeremiah 6:16, where God talks about standing at a crossroads. And our country is at a crossroads today, for the inevitable future in perpetuity in this moment, that we're looking for the right path, that we follow it, that we take it, and we choose the right path and follow in Christ, just as Charlie would have wanted. And in his name we pray, amen. About 6 years ago, 2019, and I had just walked into church for the first time in a very long time. And I didn't spontaneously combust. And I was going through not my first divorce, but my second. I don't recommend it. When you find your life partner, stay committed and stay in that relationship. And I was going through my second divorce, and I was just in church for the first time. It was a Saturday night, and the preacher was preaching verse I just prayed over, if you're laying at a crossroads and choosing the right way, because I was lost. So often we get lost, we get into these tunnels, we get into these valleys, we get into these ditches, and we don't know what it is, we don't know the right way. And my daughter was really little, she was in like the kids care, and I had my oldest with me, who was 12, and he put his little arm around me and said, "Mommy, I love you. It's going to be okay. We're going to be okay." And that was the first time I really gave my life to Christ. And I've been in church as much as I can every Sunday for the last 6 years, but it's not more about being in church, it's about going in times. I love the last 3 weeks in Charlotte, the revival, young people, young people like me. I'm almost 50. This young conservatives, we did that. We now have two. Sherry Biggs from Anderson is now the second woman to serve in Congress in the state of South Carolina. So it's immensely exciting to be a part of history in that way, but also I haven't always been that successful. I was a high school dropout. At the age of 17, I decided to drop out of high school. It was 1995, and my dad was a retired Army general. My mom was a retired school teacher. Anyone heard of Charlemagne? Charlemagne, the Breakfast Club podcast. Charlemagne and I dropped out of the same high school the same year. And our moms were teachers. You can't find two more opposite people that believe in the most opposite things ideologically. And you know what? He and I are really close friends. Like, we ought to be able to have these conversations and talk about our disagreements or differences, but not get shot for it. Not have your life taken, stolen from your children for our beliefs. And so I think it's really important we come together tonight. I went from making waffles to making history at the Citadel. So 26 years ago, I eventually finished high school, would go on to college. I became the first woman to graduate from the Citadel, the Military College of South Carolina. To be tonight is huge. I'm enormously president. I have held the line over and over again for our conservative values. When Donald Trump was accused of rape, and I was sitting on the George Stephanopoulos program on ABC, and he defamed him 10 times over in a 10-minute interview. Donald Trump wanted 15 minutes. That interview is going to help the president's bathroom. And then he's like, girl for a long time. Last year that But I get a lot of my data information off of, thank you so much. And I feel like you get a pretty good viewpoint because you can see opposing views on X. So I don't like to read just one side. I want to know what the other side is saying. Like, I won't just do Fox News. I'll do CNN, I'll do too. Because I like going in the lines, and in fact, on Friday. So, I go places people don't want. He gives a great perspective, which is like classically loud. His own party, which I find refreshing, which he's done a lot of. He did that on Friday really, really well. He takes on both sides. Like, I think that's really interesting. He's really good.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Maybe you can tell me what else are you watching?
So I do listen to Bench Heroes a little bit, but it was mainly just, Charlie Kirk all the way. And I also wanted to say, hi for my uncle Jamie Bossler.
Oh my gosh, that's your uncle.
It is.
I was texting him yesterday and today, and he's incredible.
Yes, I wanted to.
Like,
Yeah, thank you.
I
I really appreciate it.
Okay, fantastic. Tell him tonight.
Will do. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Travis Schmidt. I recently graduated, but I work for the university. And yeah, I figured this was kind of, you obviously have the inside scoop, and I've been listening to a lot of conservative political commentary on the recent government shutdown. If anything, I thought you would be the perfect person to speak into kind of like an internal perspective. I have my own theories as to what prompted that, but I would like to hear your thoughts.
So my theory is that Chuck Schumer is afraid of being primaried in a US Senate race next year by AOC. That is why we're having a government shutdown, because of a former bartender from the Bronx. Legitimately, that is what's happening. And so the polling says, even the New York Times is a poll out, that says 76% of Democrats do not want a government shutdown. But the leader of the minority party in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, decided to shut the government down anyway. So the government spending bill, the continuing resolution, passed into the House last week. And it's in the Senate. The Senate failed to pass it because the Senate needed 60 votes. We have 53 Republicans, they needed 7 Democrats. They got 3 Democrats, they got 56 votes, they need 4 more. They need 4 more Democrats to defect. But at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. Now, Democrats went to the president and went to the Speaker of the House and went to John Thune a couple of days ago with a grab bag, a package of 1.5 trillion in spending to keep the government open for the next 4 weeks. Does anyone think that 1.5 trillion over the next 4 weeks is a good idea? It's a terrible idea. But they also wanted to roll back provisions in the big beautiful bill that would have limited or banned illegal aliens from getting free healthcare. Like that is a thing. Our troops are not getting paid right now. So if you dump it down like lowest common denominator, Democrats voted to take the paychecks of our troops so that illegal aliens could get free healthcare. They'd rather give them free healthcare than to pay our troops sort of thing. And that to me is very, very egregious. They wanted to spend money, hundreds of millions of dollars on DEI programs in other countries. That was part of the $1.5 trillion package. Now, what will happen, I was in a call earlier today with the Speaker of the House at 1 p.m. today, private call with the Republican Conference. So that's what they have up in Congress. You have a group of Republicans, every Republican's part of the Republican Congress, and you have a group of Democrats, every Democrat's part of the Democrat Conference. So we had a conference call with the Republican Congress this afternoon with the Speaker. And this is an opportunity for us to trim the bureaucratic fat from the government, from all government agencies. So I think in the next day or two, you'll see what's called a RIF, which means there may be federal government employees that will start to lose their jobs. These will be people that are part of agencies, departments, or programs that don't fit into the president's agenda. We have some programs that are still doing DEI, something that he said we shouldn't be doing. All those people will probably be gone first, if I had to guess. But you'll see people start to get fired in the next couple of days. And we've got plenty of jobs in the private sector that they can go take. But you'll see this also as an opportunity while we are shut down to scale back the size of government. And I think that would be a very good thing. Now, one of the things that concerns me is that some of the mandatory programs that have to be spent in a government shutdown, you have Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, all those people getting paid out. Veterans will get their benefits. Troops don't get paid. They're not getting a paycheck. WIC. So we have programs for WIC, although it's mandatory for next week. So we got people on food stamps really starting probably next week because shutdown is short. If it's short-lived by Monday or Tuesday, we're back in DC and we vote to reopen. And that would be the ideal situation because at some point the enlisted soldier of 15, that family is making 26 to 27,000 a year. They're not going to be able to pay for groceries for their kid. Pressure points starting next week too.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your perspective and thanks for coming today.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Representative Mason. My name is Jack. I'm the chairman of the Republicans here on Clemson campus. It's great to meet you. My question today revolves around a tweet that you published in 2021. So before I ask the question, I want to make sure that first I say, I'm trying to get you here, like that. Obviously, a lot of time has passed. On words like pandemic, but again, celebrate and the bright future. Hashtag 21. Some clear for the community and as we forward representatives.
I share President Trump's ideology policies on LGBT. Same ideology that he has and he supports. President supporting conservative. This message was welcome of everybody. I will tell you, it was extremely educational, the Iranian conflict. To be and probably warrior in Iran and how Trump thought planes over in their facilities, like I was all in that. And I will also tell you that I had a campaign operation, but more than half of
Okay, infrastructure, so we just edge of Gaffney to on the edge of Calkins, 180 million. We're supposed to do the second part in 2030, supposed to go like Sparta.
my is and the inflation the cost of projects is exponentially originally were, and so funding for infrastructure that can release some funds. Recently, my office was awarded to off the interstate off of 526. It was the largest grant in state history. My office has not been announced yet, but there's $95 million. So it's really to work with the state to find. Sometimes it's already sometimes it's the state, sometimes it's environmental, federal permits that sometimes take time too. Some of the permits can take years.
Do you want to see like any advancement in like high-speed rail and for Amtrak?
I'm not a big fan of Amtrak. The Wi-Fi is so-so. But we're subsidizing a product Amtrak and public rail and public transportation.
Hi, my name is Jamie. I'm a returning student here in Clemson. And I left here in 2020, and I've just become very concerned about what I've noticed. The changes here at Clemson, the DEI, all this woke nonsense, and especially the foreigners. I was at the gym the other day, I walked around. It was like half foreigners. If this continues, we're gonna look like the UK in a couple of years.
Well, I can tell you that Trump is looking at visas. He just did a thing, I think with the event on visas, folks paying like $100,000 to get a work visa to come here. That's done through the administration at the federal level as opposed to state level. I am really concerned about folks, especially in maybe the AI and tech space that are here from China, for example, that come here and then
More
make.
concerned about the Muslims.
That's,
Never assimilate to this country.
yeah, no, it's coming.
They're building a mosque a mile from here.
Yeah,
Like, this should concern everybody.
yeah, well, I was the one that, I did a resolution on Along Mar. I mean, she wants to be in Somalia. She can go sit in Somalia, but they will not largely, if you look at Minnesota, the issue over there, they don't want to support. And, those are not the values our country was founded on. Sharia law should be banned in the United States of America.
Absolutely.
If you watch Sharia law, then go back to whatever country has it, because it isn't going to be here. Yeah.
So what can we do? And as TPUSA, CTR, other organizations here, how can you help? What can we do to combat this and put us back on the trajectory of conservative values? That's what Clemson is all about.
I would invite your local elected officials here and let them answer those questions. What are they doing in the state house? What are they doing in the state legislature to ensure we don't have epic in Texas, so we don't have epic here in South Carolina? I mean, have you seen those plans for that community? It's crazy. It's like there are no-go zones. You can't even go in there. So I am deeply concerned. And the other thing that you should be concerned about too is the amount of land that China owns next to military bases, including right here in South Carolina. This has gone on with Republicans in the supermajority in the state of South Carolina. As a red state, we've allowed this sort of thing to go on and fester. If we don't nip it in the bud, it's going to be a problem. We don't want it to be one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, good afternoon. I just had a quick question, I guess. How do you reconcile your claim for conservative values and adherence to constitutional principles with a president who is so willing to bend and defy constitutional precedents, such as the unilateral liquidation of executive agencies or slating of tariffs without congressional action?
What's the question again?
Just how do you reconcile your claim for adherence to constitutional principles with a president who is so willing to bend and defy constitutional precedents?
I don't believe President Trump is doing anything unconstitutional. And in fact, I agree with everything he's done as president. I love his executive orders. I don't think they can be implemented fast enough. I think he's doing an incredible job, and I hope he fires a lot of bureaucrats over the next couple of days while the government is shut down, because we've gotten to this place where we're spending way too much money. We're borrowing money from China to pay for US projects, and we've got to stop doing it. It's a national security problem. So I'm all in. I'd like to say I'm pumping high heels, and I'm with them all the way.
All right, thank you very much.
That's very welcome.
My name is Ryan Morrison. Thank you for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I'm a senior. I'm getting ready to go out to seminary school next semester. I've been really trying to focus on inspiring people and giving them hope in a lot of these dark times right now. I've been emboldened after everything with Charlie. You know, it's heartbreaking, but I wanted to pick up this mantle and continue on. I've seen that a lot through a lot of my other students as well. What would you say to somebody who is lacking some of that inspiration and is really in a deep dark hole right now, as far as what our country looks like and what the future could be? How would you inspire them?
Get off the internet. I would take them outside, go touch some grass, take your shoes on. Put your toes in the sand. I mean, truly, like getting back in the environment. I don't know what happened. At some point, we told them, we turned online rooms. And I used to be a Reddit fiend. I used to go on Reddit and refresh all the time, just even 5 years ago, 8 years ago. I can't go on there anymore because it's just so nasty. Don't look me up on Reddit. It's around the world you will not come out of. It's awful. But it didn't used to be that way. And I think that we have these online environments and they're not real. And we have people that are, well, maybe detached from reality, maybe don't have a good home life or, don't have close friends, that loneliness. And then people all of a sudden now you have a furry on your hands. You have someone who thinks that, they be in a dress in the women's locker room terrorizing a 12-year-old little girl. Like, no. And for me, I think it's social media has caused this. The fact that, even I'm glued to my phone all the damn time. But especially for our young people, and I think my thing is, you got stuck in COVID. You couldn't leave your house. You couldn't go to school. You went to college to get a degree that may not matter in 5 years because of AI. You can't get the job you want in the degree that you have. College costs too much. And there's, I think, a lot of loss for hope, but I think it's really getting back into community, actually talking to people, having this conversation, wearing a Trump hat, but hating Trump. Like, I think that's great. Like, I don't mind it, but you showed up and you asked your question. Yeah, I like it. I'm here for it. But like, just having this community time, we're all human. And we're not doing this. That's the beauty of Turning Point. It's the beauty of Charlie Kirk's legacy. The other thing that I've been doing in the last couple of years is I bring people to church. And they're not gonna call them stray cats, but I bring people to church. And I don't bring the saints. I bring the sinners. I bring the people who need to hear the word because at some point we all do. And I even have Psalm 23. I don't tell my mom, tattooed on my finger in red so no one can see it, to remind me of where I come from and that he is always going to be there for me. And there are people that are yearning for something. They don't know what they're yearning for. I do think they're yearning for a faith or for God's word, because with church and with faith, synagogue, whatever it is, that brings stability. And we're lacking that right now. We're lacking each having dinners with each other. I've got a member of my family, because they support Trump, will not talk to me. And I think it's stupid. I won't say the wrong word, but it is. But it's very, very regarded. Like, it's just, you won't talk to me because I support someone you voted against. Okay, that doesn't make any sort of sense. We've lost that human connection. And I mean it truly, like, if you get outside and you walk barefoot, touching grass is a thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a quick 10-second intermission.
Totally missed
I
it.
get out on the internet, we're gonna get back on We're gonna do 2 more questions. Good evening, Representative Mace. I'm Greg Ariel. I'm a senior at Clemson in agricultural education. And I was born and raised in Lexington, South Carolina. And the amount of urban sprawl and development of farmland has been something that's concerned me since a young age. And you're right for governor. I'd just like to hear your stance, your opinions.
I think I need to be careful. I can't talk politics in here, but I'm happy to talk about agriculture policy.
Okay,
Turning Point USA does not endorse anyone.
that's fair. Yes, ma'am. I'd just like to hear what you think or what can be done in the state of South Carolina by us youth when it comes to urban development, because Lexington County was the #1 county in the state of South Carolina with converted farmland due to development.
Well, we have a conservation bank, the state legislature does, something that we need to continue to grow. We need to make sure that I think there need to be tax incentives to buy land and conserve it. So I'm a big fan of conservation. That's one way we could do that. I'm also okay with the government buying up land and turning it into parks or national reserves, et cetera. Those are ways you can do that. We do as a state have a conservation bank. We do make those investments. So I'm a big fan of that. I come from Charleston, so the sprawl is, we're gonna run out of room. And they're all gonna come up here. When Charleston runs out of room, they're all coming up here. So that is something to be concerned about. We're also the 10th fastest growing state in the country. And so, Green will kind of become a suburb of Atlanta, Spartanburg, a suburb of Charlotte. When Florida closes up, everybody's gonna come here too. The 2 states that have some of the highest numbers of people fleeing to South Carolina from California and from New York. It has increased the cost of living, but conservation is something we have to continue to concentrate on. We need federal incentives and also state incentives, and the conservation bank to continue, picking up land and conserving it. So if you have a nice hunting track, don't develop it.
Thank you so
Keep
much.
hunting.
Hi, Congresswoman. My name is Jackson Merrick. Welcome to the upstate.
When I turned 26, and went off my parents' healthcare, I immediately found it was very difficult being a college student and only working a part-time job to get affordable healthcare. And so I turned to the Affordable Care Act and was able to get a plan for $7 a month. I know that the current government shutdown, part of that has been revolving around issues regarding healthcare. What are your current opinions on the state of healthcare in this country, and do you have any plans for ways that we can either improve or rework the Affordable Care Act?
Well, big pharma and big medical lobbyists have ruined the healthcare system. Let me tell you that right away. I mean, the reason that the pricing is so high is because we have like no competition. Up until recently, we had a law, state law in South Carolina called the Certificate of Need Law, where you couldn't build another medical facility down the street from a hospital or other medical facility without having to show a need. Like the government had to approve it. And so you have all this red tape, all this bureaucracy, prices have skyrocketed. You have doctors that if they leave a hospital, they can't practice within a 100-mile radius or whatever it is in their contract. And you have contract laws in South Carolina that allow the hospitals to have these awful contracts and then suck up competition. So a lack of competition, a lack of transparency. We ought to know what drug prices are going to be when we get up there, and the availability of generics should be for everybody. Previous to the ACA, I was working for myself. And I had 2 kids, and the father of my kids, he was working for himself. For a family of 4 to get on Cobra, it was $1,500 a month. Not affordable. That was crazy. So we went without insurance for a year. One kid broke an elbow, of course. Another one had to have stitches in their face. This is Murphy's Law. I got diagnosed with a pre-existing condition. Now I did all the math. That year, when I went to the hospital, I negotiated everything in cash. I had it. $5,000 for a family of 4. That's what we spent in cash, including vaccinations, including appointments, $5,000. If I had health insurance and I had the co-pays and I had everything else, it would have cost us $25,000. The same thing. And so I think the system is it's broken, just like our justice system, our court system here, it's completely broken for a lot of reasons. And without starting over, I think it's really hard to fix, but I think there's something we can do. I think being transparent on pricing, being competitive on pricing, knowing what those are, having more competition in the marketplace, not allowing the government to have all this red tape. I mean, you're having insurance companies now dictate medical care that doctors are doing. And I have a couple cases. One in particular is really egregious here in South Carolina. I was called a couple years ago by a mom whose daughter was diagnosed with breast cancer. The insurance company was dictating her care. It was a very aggressive form of breast cancer. It was genetic. This young lady was in her 20s, and the insurance company said, because you didn't have the BRCA genetic testing for breast cancer before you got diagnosed with breast cancer, we're not going to cover the double mastectomy that you need. And the kind of breast cancer she had, it was so aggressive. It was only on one side, but it had an 80 or 90% chance of coming back on the other side. And her oncologist and surgeon was like, you need to have both removed, double mastectomy ASAP. So I was like, I can't make any promises. I can make a phone call. I was a freshman state house rep. I knew a guy. I knew the lobbyist of the insurance company. I called him. I go, what the hell? And 3 hours later, the insurance company reviewed her medical file and they're ready to cover 100%. But most people, when they're diagnosed with breast cancer, don't know to call their rep. And I didn't even know I had that power until it happened. So I think it's incredibly messed up. I think there in the state of South Carolina also has something called PBMs, or like these middlemen in the market. We've got to get rid of that too. So a lot of it's regulation, a lot of it's lack of competition. If I could wave a magic wand and have free market healthcare, we'd have it tomorrow. It'd be a lot cheaper and affordable for everybody, and you wouldn't need a subsidy from the federal government.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. That was easy.
Well, first of all, give it up for Representative Nancy. Pretty busy, so taking the time, to be with us here tonight is beyond appreciated. And I just like to thank her again, so much for the great event. And I'd like to give thank yous to everyone in Turning Point's executive board, I wouldn't be able to do it without them, our volunteers who volunteer for the event. And, everyone, you know, whether it's police officers, the security team.
We felt very safe, thank you.
Dude, it felt like I was going to the White House. But again, you know, so many people put in a lot of work to make this possible, and can't thank them enough. If you're interested in participating in our events, or joining our club, or anything like that, talk to me, talk to anybody, from Turning Point. We're happy to have you. Thank you guys all for coming out.
Thank you.